everybody, and welcome back to First and Last. And that's right, like we promised last week, it is the 200th episode Bonanza, hosted by Jimmy.
Whoa. Pineapple calzone. What are we doing?
I am Josh, and with me this week, of course, we have Joe.
Hey, man.
And your master of events today, Jimmy.
What's up?
You didn't listen to last week's podcast.
Pasta people. No, I did not.
It's a very special episode. It's our 200th.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is our 200th episode, and we told the listeners you were bringing the heat.
Taking a very special show that we've been holding out on and waiting for this moment.
Oh, man. Yeah, so are we just going to dive right in?
Well, for the uninitiated that just apparently like the number 200 and TV shows, Joe, what is First and Last?
It's a TV pod where we take a TV show, watch only the first episode, and then make some predictions, and then skip right to the end and watch the last episode and see how those predictions did. The way I described it then made it seem like it's only about the predictions. The predictions is really a small part of it.
It is.
It's more about just like judging a show based on like its cover and back cover.
Yeah. It's the true perfect way of watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
We've honed it for 200 episodes.
Yeah.
And now, Jimmy. What'd you bring to? What'd you bring?
Yeah. So there was a couple shows that I was holding out for. The show 200, the sequel to The 100 from CW, which never aired, never got the pilot made.
The other 100.
The other one is It's Always Sunny, which will never end.
Right? No, it won't
Ever.
Which I'm fine with. If I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, not to our detriment for sure.
Like when Danny DeVito dies, they're just gonna recast him with another guy.
It'll just be his corpse, I assume.
It'll just be a weekend at Danny DeVito's for an entire season.
Yeah, didn't they do I think they did a Weekend at Bernie's bit.
I'm sure they have.
Pretty sure they did.
How could they not have?
So it didn't end. So instead, it got picked up for 4 more seasons.
That's
insane. Yeah, because it was on 14th, and now like if you go to the IMDb, it shows like through season 18, so it'll be the longest running. But that's not the show. So the show that I picked instead was Kaitlin Olson's second show, I assume. I don't know that she's ever was a star on another show than this, but Fox's The Mick. Did you guys watch this?
I feel like I've seen like the cover art or something on Hulu.
Sure.
I've seen a couple episodes. I will say
It is on the Hulu.
I didn't stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like within the Always Sunny cast, Dennis has that AP Bio show.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed. And I think that's on again.
I think,
isn't
it had 2 seasons, I think, and then 2 or 3, and then had like a lull, and just kind of assumed that it was canceled. But now, there's another one coming out.
I think with Peacock being a thing now, like the streaming service, I think it came back.
Just getting that content.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the Mick, is she the titular Mick?
Yes.
Am I allowed to say that?
No.
Yeah, that was just a pretty
word.
accurate, normal sentence right
Every
there.
time we say the name of the show, just bleep it out.
The what? Yeah, I've seen it. It's like Kaitlin Olson is I don't know what her name is in this show.
Her name is like Mackenzie, and they call her Mick.
Okay.
The Mick. And she's just like a trash person, basically. If I understand correctly. And then I'm trying to think if it's like she goes and like lives with, it's either like family or like just a random friend or lady or something like that, and they have kids, and obviously she's a terrible influence. And I think they're like super duper rich, and she's like scummy and poor. Just her specifically.
Scummy. You're not calling poor people scummy in general?
No. Yeah,
okay.
I just want to be clear. I'm not calling poor people
scummy.
I'm saying she is scummy and poor.
happens to be poor.
Yeah.
Plenty of scummy rich people for sure.
There's more. There's almost for surely more scummy rich people in the world.
This show, I think, is much like It's Always Sunny, where most people are just scummy
Okay.
in the cast.
Have you seen this show?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did not finish the first season.
Okay.
I know that because I looked at my Hulu plays, so I didn't make it through. But I remember thinking it was picking up,
Yeah.
and I think the ratings showed that, and then because it went through a second season, but I think it might have been canceled even before. It got picked up for a second season midway through the first season, but may have already been canceled. They'd already ordered the season and it was already happening, but it may have already been canceled after that, before it started.
Cancel culture, man.
That's not what that means.
Yikes, dude.
It's not what that means, Joe. So yeah, they did a 13th episode. It had 37 total episodes, 2 seasons. It ran from January 1st, 2017 to April 3rd, 2018. It had 13 episodes in the first season, and then I guess they had a second season that had 13 as well. And then they ordered another 7 episodes before canceling it. But I don't know if that math works.
That doesn't make sense. The first season has 17 episodes.
Oh, so they renewed for 13 episodes for a second season. I read that wrong.
The second season has 20 episodes.
Yeah, so they had 13 originally, and then they asked for 7 more. And then after they asked for 7 more, then they canceled it.
Immediately canceled. Interesting.
Are you gonna know what I mean if I ask, is it a single cam or multicam show?
I don't still know what that. I still don't know what that means.
Does it look like Seinfeld or does it look like Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad, for sure.
Okay.
So it's
multicam. Yeah. Right?
Uh-oh.
No, it might be single cam.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god.
I think multi is when you have a live studio audience, you're able to just shoot everything at once because it's all facing the same way.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's single cam.
So it's single.
But it's not single cam. What is the docu Office and that kind of stuff?
Like a mockumentary. It's not one of those.
It's not like Parks and Rec,
okay.
Office. They've moved on. We've moved on from those shows.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's definitely not like
showrunners.
That, for sure.
You can stop doing that.
Or maybe Community or something more like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
More like that than Big Bang Theory or How I Met Your Mother.
I'm trying to remember now if I ever finished Community. I had a stint where I really watched a lot of it.
Oh man,
I think I've seen all of it at least once.
And I don't know if I stopped
because the last season was on Yahoo. You had to really find it.
Yep. But it's all on. It's all
together
Hulu
now.
I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But the Mick, I think the one problem that this show might have, especially since Kaitlin Olson's character is very it's D on Always Sunny, but just even shittier. I think,
if possible.
It's just going to make me. It made me. I think this is what it did for me. Is it made me just go. I just wish I was watching Always Sunny instead of this show because this show was on. Was it on just Fox or was it on FX?
It was on Fox.
Okay. Yeah, it was just on Fox. So it's just it can't even be as bad. You know, it's you're a worse person, but you can't even toe the line.
Yeah,
as
it's
much.
built for a broader audience than Always Sunny.
Or just has to be in that broader audience box based on the network that it's into. So I think that's a concern of mine. We're going back into this. I've seen the pilot episode. I don't remember what happens, but that's a general concern immediately. Is this going to make me only just going to say I just want to watch Always Sunny and not episode 2 of the Mick?
Yeah, that's tough.
So this show was created by writers / producers of It's Always Sunny. John Chernin? John and Dave Chernin. I don't know if it's a soft sh. It's CHERNIN. Chernin. I don't know.
Cool.
Awesome.
That makes sense.
And
that,
it feels like it.
You know, that they would have this like kind of niche, wildly successful niche cable show, and that Fox would give them the reins and be like, hey, you guys want to make like a network show?
That's mildly similar, but obviously in a different vein. And run with it. And, you know, I mean, Always Sunny is, even when this came out in 2017, that was only 4 years ago. So that means Always Sunny was or like season 10 or 11 at that point?
Yeah, probably.
Because they've been taking longer and longer in between seasons for Always Sunny. So that's when like Kaitlin Olson went somewhere else. Dennis did his own show. I think Rob McElhenney, whatever. He just got jacked instead. And then Charlie did movies.
And did Ravens, what is it? Mythic Quest.
Oh, now he does Mythic Quest, yeah.
Oh, man.
Heard it was good.
That's real fun.
Heard it's good.
You got the Apple Plus. Real fun.
I can't keep track of my streaming services.
No, there's too many.
But I mean, they're for all of them, but you don't even realize it.
Yeah, turns out
at this point.
One day we'll get them all together in a tight package that they'll call cable.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. And I could just like swap from like one, let's say, channel to another and see what's playing at that point.
For instance.
Yeah.
What if we bring all this together? So I don't really remember. Jimmy, you've seen obviously this first episode too.
Yeah, I know the premise of the show.
You know the full premise.
I don't know how much to give away.
I kind of said what I thought it was, but I might even not be sure. I don't, Joe, if you wanted to maybe give us a little.
What's the first episode?
Yeah, I mean,
Mick?
If you would have told me that they, you know, the creators of Always Sunny were gonna take Dee from Always Sunny and make a Fox show.
Yep. Basically, that's what's happening. So.
Yeah, like you said, like that she's living with a family. I would not be surprised that there's like kids involved. I guess I would have thought that she like somehow like ended up adopting kids for some reason.
Okay.
Possible.
Because for some sort of, she got hammered one night and accidentally adopted a family.
Like she mail ordered kids when she was drunk one night, and then they showed up, and that's the first episode.
So yeah, it could be that, and then if you're saying that there is an adult like that is attached to the kids, that maybe it's not that she adopted the kids, but she like made some promise to her sister or something that she'll like help take care of the family, kind of like a Full House scenario.
I was going Bernie Mac.
yeah, maybe like a Bernie Mac.
It's the Bernie Mac show, but it's a white lady.
Yeah.
And those were his kids, though.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They were his sister's kids.
Oh, that's right. His dead sister's kids.
Yeah.
I already forgot.
So I think she's not only a part of this family now, but like has to be in charge of these kids somehow. And she teaches the kids about smoking in the first episode.
How it's cool.
How to do it.
How to smoke.
Well, she's like trying to tell them that it's not cool, but like everything she does turns out like she's just exemplifying how cool it is to smoke. Yeah.
I've never been a smoker of cigarettes. Anytime I've ever had a cigarette, like the 10 I've had in my entire life, it's been gross. My mouth has been yucky.
Yeah.
I've always joked that it's you look cool with a cigarette, and I feel like even that in my mind is changing. Now I don't think people
it looks as cool.
I don't think people look cool anymore. Maybe if they're wearing a leather jacket and smoking, but
like a brown leather jacket.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also bad for you, which I feel like amps up the danger, which amps up the coolness factor.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
I don't care if I live or die.
Exactly. Like, look at that guy.
Did the Fonz smoke? Or was Happy Days 2
Happy Days?
PC?
He had to have. I bet everybody smoked in Happy Days. It was a show about the 50s. If they didn't smoke, it was not, it was not correct in the time-wise.
I feel like I asked that because just what I think of when I think of smoking, I think like everybody is the Fonz when they're smoking. And like, that's cool. But that's not true. most people.
What's his Henry Winkler?
Henry Winkler?
Winkler? Yeah. Tweet at us if you
executive
smoked as
producer?
the Fonz. If this,
Yeah, the EP of
sure you're
MacGyver.
listening. Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was involved in all of the MacGyvers. The movies, the reboot that they did in like 2016.
I guess I would have known this
We figured that out last week.
if I had listened.
Yeah, if you had listened and prepared for your 200th By the way, I named the file FNL episode 200 Jimmy 200th Ep Bonanza. That's what I named the file.
Welcome to the
I'm going to
circus.
probably just name that. That's what the show is going to be called. People are going to click on it and be like, wow.
And you're going to be like, the Mick?
The Mick?
Really?
That's the show.
Must be a good show then.
Must be great. There was no more Chuck Lowry shows available.
That can't be true.
Yeah, let's just say it's true.
I know for a fact it's not true.
Is that kind of all we want to go over at the moment before we just dive into the first ep?
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
give too much away.
yeah. Let's just do it. It's called Pilot, so,
Of course.
that sucks. Broadcast January 1st, 2017. Pilot. We'll be back after that. And we're back. We're done with the first episode of The Mick, entitled Pilot. Jimmy, for your 200th episode Bonanza, do you have a write-up?
Yeah, I got a little summary.
That's good.
It's more like a teaser. An unapologetic degenerate moves to affluent Greenwich to raise the outrageously spoiled kids of her wealthy sister and brother-in-law who have fled the country to avoid prosecution for illegal activities, seemingly some sort of tax evasion.
Yeah,
So
it
that's- That's all it says.
seems like it's like someone like kind of was paying attention to the show and wrote that up because it's like some of that's like half accurate.
So many of these are like this person watched the full season and then by memory tried to
Just like, oh yeah, what happened in that first episode?
Because she didn't decide to move there to raise them.
right.
She
That made
went
it
to
sounds
like their party.
she showed up to their little party and they were surprised that she was there because they've apparently always invite her to their like posh friends, mansion party. And she's clearly not like sort of on that social class. It's pretty
Right.
gross.
She's scummy and poor.
I really enjoyed the opening, whatever, like theme where it's just
Like
her.
the cold open thing.
Yeah. But it's like, even like in a different like film style and like there's like a little theme music going on.
Yeah, with her just walking
She's just
around
walking
the store.
through the grocery store, being gross and just stealing stuff. I think she like shaves. She put some talcum powder down her pants. But then like after all that, then she like walks out with beer, takes like one and gives the rest of the 6-pack to a homeless guy. And you're like, okay, maybe she's got some redeeming qualities. Paying it forward.
She Robin Hooded it. She robbed from the rich and gave a 5-pack to the poor.
Yeah. Joe agrees.
Yeah.
Or something.
She's a saint.
Patron saint.
The basic concept, besides kind of what the write-up half accurately said, is she went to her sister's like posh party in Greenwich that she never has come to in like many years, and they were surprised to see her at the party. The FBI raided and arrested her sister and her sister's husband, leaving the children in, I believe, 18-year-old Sabrina, because she said she was like getting into Yale, so I assume she's 18, 17. Middle child Chip, who is just some sort of pale, red-headed, pompous child.
Yeah, he's like young Tucker Carlson.
Oh God, yeah.
God,
I couldn't place it, and I hate it that you did. You
Yeah.
found it.
He's basically he's Carlson He's white. He's white young Carlson.
Carlton?
Oh, Carlton.
Carlton.
Okay.
Carlton. Also, at first I was just trying to think of what we just watched. Clarissa Explains It All.
Ferguson.
Ferguson. All the sons. Tons. That's what screwed me up.
Yeah.
Ferguson.
And then there was
like
also
a freshman, maybe
middle school. Don't know.
Oh, Chip.
Yeah.
I think
they were all.
I would
off
give
the
him
same
8th grade,
school,
9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, he's older, but not graduating. And then there's youngest Ben.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually like a child, but he also has a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And apparently is allergic to ice cream.
Definitely allergic to dairy.
And then they have a housekeeper maid lady. What was her name?
Elba.
Mm-hmm. She was pretty fun.
Yeah,
she was a boss.
And then so the whole episode essentially was Mick or Mackenzie trying to, like, her sister was like, if you stay with the kids and get them to whatever, I'll give you whatever money you want or whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she's staying with the kids, but they're unruly, and she's obviously a horrible mess.
Mm-hmm. They're not even necessarily unruly. They're just kids, right?
Yeah,
well,
true.
Sabrina's pretty unruly.
What was in like she stole an owl?
She stole. Well, yeah, okay.
Typical 18-year-old behavior.
I guess I did steal that one owl that one time I was 18.
And like our first interaction with her is Mackenzie's walking into the party, so she gets driven there by her boyfriend, Mackenzie, the Mick, her boyfriend Jimmy, because I just looked it up. Played by Scott MacArthur, who's been in things. But he's got that vibe. There's like a like a funny kind of fat white guy vibe. You know what I mean? They all do the same shtick.
Yeah, I can. Okay, yeah.
I'll look up some names. Like kind of a Jonah Hill, Jonas Brothers Hill. And then from then on, it's just been a bunch of different white dudes doing the same shtick. Anyway, she kind of convinces him to, like, he thinks he's going to this fancy party too, but then she's like, "No, you're not going in with me. You embarrass me.
She just got him to drive him there.
You're gonna drive so I can get drunk." And she walks in, and Sabrina's out there, and they don't recognize each other, and she's just smoking a cigarette, and Mackenzie tries to bum a cigarette, and she won't, and they have a little altercation, which is fun.
Yeah.
The Mick steals her cigarette.
It's kind of like first third of the show is like her getting to the party and the FBI coming. Middle third is like her just like wilding out because she's in a mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And then like last third is her kind of trying to actually rein in the kids a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's thinking that the parents will hopefully be home soon. Just trying to, and then we find out that they're
she
like
gets the call.
Still locked up.
The parents are like had fled the country.
Oh.
She said they're like in Mexico or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't come back.
Right. No, they cannot. Because they'll be arrested.
It's her and Alba holding down the fork.
Or whatever. Joe, you're the only one that hasn't seen this show at all.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your impressions?
I mean, there were definitely parts that I laughed. There's definitely like jokes that hit, and I really like what's her name, Kaitlin Olson.
Yep.
I think she's very funny. When you throw some kids into a show, it can be tough. Because sometimes, a lot of times, they can be annoying, and you know, but that's how they. A lot of times, it feels like a network show needs to have kids. Right. Because that's how you make it feel like a family show. If it's just adults, then like it's not something that parents feel like they could watch with their kids.
I don't think parents should watch this with their kids anyway.
Right.
You don't think so?
No.
So yeah,
if I had kids, I would not let them watch this show.
Yeah,
if they were young.
I'm a little wary of the child actors in the show. Like, just kids can get annoying. So that's like a red flag for me.
Yeah, like the littlest one, like Ben, like get rid of him.
Yeah.
Dead or gone.
So yeah, even though there are things that are laughed at, I feel like I'm not super into the premise, maybe, but in that there's kids, but I also feel like they make her so like terrible as a person.
Yeah, she's like D turned up to like 10.
Yeah, which is interesting that it's like worse than her character on a cable TV show. Which like it's like parts of it like where she is like cruel to other people, but then also that she's like gross, and it's like that combination that I'm just like, I feel like she could just be like raising kids, which is what she's doing here, right? Is tough for anybody. You don't need to be a terrible person to be a bad parent, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? Like, so she could just be a person who is just doing her own thing and is not trying to raise some kids, all of a sudden gets 3 kids foisted upon her, and that would already be like funny in itself, and also like an interesting premise.
You could be a good person and be a terrible parent.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, she instead of being like a bad person could be just like a mess or something.
Yeah,
you know, like I'm not trying to be bad. I'm just a mess. I'm just a mess.
She's a mess and a bad. She's D plus Charlie in this show.
Yeah,
she's gross and terrible.
Yeah, it just feels a little bit much. Like, and I don't necessarily need it to be like a heartwarming show, but like, I don't know. I think like I feel like an analog might be The Good Place, if you've seen that, where the lead character Eleanor Shellstrop is a terrible person, but the way that she's a terrible person in that show is she's just very selfish. She's not necessarily cruel to other people. Like sometimes because she's so selfish, it does like really affect people in cruel ways, but like you can kind of understand the way that she acts because it's like, yeah, I'm selfish sometimes too. Where it's like when this show opens, it's like she's just like destroying a grocery store and you're just like, the fuck is she doing? Like,
but isn't that fun, Joe? Because we would never do that. So it's like tee-hee.
I guess, but it just, I don't know.
I have not hit that point.
Yeah, it's just like it feels like one thing too much, where it's like it's already an interesting premise to just like, hey, you're raising 3 full-on, fully grown kids. Do it.
Figure it out. And also you're someone without, you didn't have this economic means that now you're in too.
Yeah, I feel like that's an interesting thing too. Just you know, and we've seen tons of TV shows like that where it's just like you take someone who's poor and put them in a rich situation, and that's,
or vice versa.
That's just the TV show.
There was part of the montage in this first episode where she's like playing video games with the maid, and she was like somehow wearing like a tuxedo and a top hat and smoking a cigar. Like it went by real quick, but I
did not notice
that was like the funniest thing I had seen. It's like, what? Why does she have this like rich person outfit, and like why does it include a top hat?
Why wouldn't it?
I guess, yeah. If
that's how rich people dress, Joe. She was actually missing the monocle.
Just full Mr. Peanut garb.
That's right. Yeah. It'd be curious. Yeah, there is so many like things that like there is so many different aspects. She's D and Charlie. She's out of her element with kids, and also now has like riches essentially. I mean, I guess probably at some point, like I'm assuming that the money gets cut off because like the parents are gone, or
I got predicts.
I didn't even predict that, but that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, I guess she doesn't need to be. She probably lightens up, is almost my like thought, because she was like she was cool to the maid, to Alba. True. Or that's her name, Alba.
Yeah,
Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
She was cool. She was cool to her, and she was like, "Oh man, you don't get to be in the pool. You don't get to hang out." So they had a montage of like basically them chilling the first day the kids were out of school. I mean, she was like not amazingly nice to her, but she was like treating her sort of like a more of a person than maybe it seemed like the maid had been treated before that. Sure. So it's kind of like, yeah, she could lighten up, be less terrible, and still like be the like a fish out of water, trying to figure out how to do it, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just could see. I guess I could see how it could be tiresome. A little bit of like, God, why are you such a bad person for a long time? It didn't really bug me in this episode too much, but I mean, yeah.
If there's not some like immediate growth, it's gonna be hard to watch.
Right? Yeah. If she's just a pile of shit for 37 episodes, it's like, Jesus, where did we go from here? We didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's kind of where I assume we go.
Nowhere.
Just round and round.
Who's to say though?
We are.
I think it's interesting. Like they seem to have specifically like different relationships with, between her and like each kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sabrina is like old and she thinks not old. She's a high schooler and she thinks she's the coolest and acts like, she's like a mean girl, but also she's like environmentally conscious. An environmental, like a very green mean girl. So she's, got standards or something.
She's like Lindsay from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
But
a lot like that.
Maybe a little bit more bitchy.
Yeah.
Seems about right.
But she does like steal an owl to try to conserve it, I guess, and then does trick Mick into letting it go, which is pretty funny. But then apparently she doesn't actually let it go because she grabs it and cooks it and makes them eat it for dinner. Apparently,
yeah,
the final scene.
Implied that they're eating owl at the end.
Eating some endangered owl species.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to eat owl.
Just in general, doesn't matter they're probably all endangered. But yeah, so there's that like relationship where there's like some like I'm too cool. It's like Sound of Music. I don't need a nanny or whatever. And then you got Chip, who's kind of a little wiener kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's really smart, and he apparently knows a lot of law rules. I was talking about suing for things, and he's got some really funny parts about this dude, and he likes this girl, but then this like bully embarrasses him in front of people because his parents are in prison, so that's pretty easy easy jab.
You're gonna get made fun of, especially if you go to some sort of rich prep school that he almost for surely goes to.
Chip was already getting made fun of, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Then his parents went.
But then he pulled that. What did he do? Mick told him to just pull down that bully's pants and then laugh at his tiny penis.
Yeah.
And then he said he did that, and it was the biggest penis he's ever seen.
It was enormous. I mean, he could have beaten me up with it. Something like
He's
that.
like, now all the girl that I like knows is that guy has a huge dick or something.
Yeah. He said like he has got a rad dong or something like that. It was just amazing.
At least he can appreciate it, Like, he's like, oh man, wow, doubly
screwed. And then the relationship with like the little kid is like very innocent, and he's just like a sweet little kid and asking all the little kid questions of why at everything. And she like starts a trash fire just to steal some ice cream to give him ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Which then he has an allergic reaction to, but
apparently he is allergic. Yeah, like I was gonna say Mick is like, nah, that's just your mom not letting you eat because she's like weird about.
Oh, because of her own, dietary whatever.
Self-imposed dietary restrictions.
Right.
Yeah. I saw when we logged into this to watch. I said I had seen the show before, and according to Hulu, I had seen 3.5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how far this show got me originally. And I will say that I know in 3.5 episodes she did not grow as a character, for sure.
That's fair.
Then, because it was just pretty much that. So be curious to find out then in the finale, I guess. Technically the finale, I wonder if they knew. Probably didn't. But curious to know whether or not there's any slight form of growth. I kind of highly doubt it.
Yeah, probably not.
I kind of feel it the way I didn't really read the full article, but the way that I read basically the headline was that it seemed like they knew that they were getting canceled. Like whether or not this stuff was already written, I guess, is maybe another story. But part of me is like, it would be really fun if they knew, and so they just went off the rails.
Yeah, that would be great.
But
cool. Should we prediction it now?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going?
yes.
I'll go. Sabrina, the oldest daughter. I think that, so I guess in this first season, she's like a senior in high school. So I think in the next season, or by the end of the next season, she's not in college. She's just working as a mechanic.
A mechanic.
Yeah, because she's, learning how things work and how they get put together. So she's a mechanic.
Okay.
I think the parents they somehow come back. I originally wrote like they're out of prison, but I guess since they're out of the country, like they're back and they're like no longer in trouble somehow.
Okay.
Is what I mean.
Okay.
I forgot the name of the Mick's brother, who was really only in the beginning.
Oh, the boyfriend?
No,
guy?
that was her boyfriend.
boyfriend.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Okay. Her boyfriend, Jimmy, is a butler for the house. I think he works his way into a job for them.
Okay.
And then Chip is running a cult.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's definitely cult bound.
Yeah.
For sure.
He'd be good for it.
Oh, yeah. He'd fit right in. Okay, cool. I'm going to do mine now. Mine are that mom and dad are back, but they're on home arrest.
Okay.
House arrest. So I think they're still in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they come back and are on the show, but they're on house arrest. Because that's what rich people get to do when they do bad
just
stuff.
Hang out at home.
A lot of the kids bled in this episode. Chip did and Ben did.
Mm-hmm.
But Chip got like beat up and bled. So my second one's just Chip bleeds.
Just kind of the go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's the go-to
Chip's a
one.
mess.
I think Sabrina gets Mick to pass out in this episode.
Oh.
She Mick like dosed her with like a bunch of sleeping stuff in the first episode. Instead of letting her like go party. So I think the roles are reversed and Sabrina passes out Mick somehow.
Okay.
And then my fourth one is I think Mick is involved in a pyramid scheme.
Cool.
Which is just like a straight It's Always Sunny plot.
Yeah, I mean, this is just D somewhere else, so it makes sense to me.
I think more than once she's been involved in a pyramid scheme.
It's a long show.
It's true. Okay. So my number one is that the money has run out. So I don't think parents come back. We may never hear from them again. I don't know. I'm sure throughout the first season.
They were paid for the pilot, and that was it.
It's just voice actors at this point, once in a while. So I think things have kind of just devolved under Mick's tutelage of these people. I think, so I think Chip, he's kind of a smart guy. I could see maybe him being kind of a numbers guy. I think he's become a bookie.
Okay.
Because I think just everything's just gone wrong for these people, and they're just all criminals now.
Chip becomes the kind of guy you don't want to owe the slightest amount of money to.
Yeah, and he's probably got some muscle. Maybe that like bully. He's
his
got
muscle
something on.
now.
He's got something on the bully, so now the bully's doing muscle duty. I think Alba she was just a total boss in this. So, there's this like security guard they like ran into at the beginning of the show, Mick and her boyfriend, who's giving them some grief because they look out of place, because they are. And then he's like, he doesn't seem to know what's going on, but it's like, maybe he's a security guard for like this neighborhood.
That's it's probably a gated community that he's a security guard for.
That makes sense. I was thinking like, do you work for these people and you don't know what's going So he's gonna taser Mick, and she ducks and hits the like parents, like the neighbor, Liz, and then Alba just takes him out and is like, "I'll take care of them." So I think Alba's a mob boss.
Okay,
she's like connected.
This is where I'm going. She's at the top. And then I think Mick has adopted the kids. Because I think the parents are gone.
Good for her.
Yeah, way to go.
She's got a real special bond with them now.
Oh,
They don't hate her at all.
Sabrina's like, I'm an adult though, so you don't have to.
Just shut up. You're adopted.
you can not. Okay, so why don't we get to that final episode? It was on April 3rd, 2018. We'll find out whether they planned it to be the finale or it was just another episode. It was called The Graduate. Who is The Graduate, you may ask? Well, we'll find out when we get back. We'll see you then. And we're back. We're done with the final episode of whatever show we just watched. No,
The
The
Mick.
Mick.
Until it gets rebooted.
Yeah, probably. It was called The Graduate. Jimmy, do you have a write-up?
I do. It's all right. Sabrina graduates high school, but tells the family over dinner that she did not get into Yale.
Liar.
She lied. Not wanting to be saddled with Sabrina, Mick and Elba head to Yale to learn from the dean why Sabrina was rejected. Meanwhile, Chip throws a party and tries to get close to Madison despite several obstacles. Mick learns that Sabrina was actually accepted and lied to her, while Elba pretends to be an alumnus for the reunion party, where she has a one-night stand with another alumnus. Mickey confronts Sabrina over her lie, where Sabrina admits that she is scared that she will fail at Yale. Mick takes her out to a bar where she reveals that her own mother abandoned her and Poodle and gave them each $5,000 before disappearing. Poodle used the money to move to New York, while Mick spent it on a samurai sword, which is at the very bar they are sitting at. They create a diversion and steal back the sword, which Mick gifts to Sabrina. After encouraging Sabrina to ease her fears by swinging the sword around, she is suddenly struck by lightning. At the hospital, the doctors tell Mick that Sabrina is lucky to be alive, but they cannot determine what sort of long-term damage Sabrina could have sustained until she wakes up. And the credits roll.
Kind of like the best way to end a show like this, of just shitty people being kind of shitty and just
ridiculousness.
Putting one in a
One of them
coma.
gets struck by lightning, and you don't know if she's just gonna be a vegetable or not.
Really out of the blue too. That was kind of the best part. Just initial thoughts. None of us have seen this episode.
No. Would not have if not for this podcast.
I mean, Joe, you lolled out loud.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, not just the Kaitlin Olson parts that I already expected to be funny. Like I thought the Chip stuff was funny, and I thought he was kind of annoying in the first episode. And then, the whole ending with Sabrina getting struck by lightning was just so ridiculous.
Yeah,
it hit me in the right spot. Like, it's just, you don't really expect like a character to be struck by lightning. I mean, granted, it was like storming and she's swinging a sword around, but it's just such a random occurrence that you wouldn't expect to see that.
Right.
And then like when she gets struck and like Mick is like looking at her, she's like, oh, you crapped yourself.
Yeah. It was excellent. I thought for sure the bit was going to be like it's raining, she's wet, and she's swinging the sword around like at Mick.
Yeah, I thought she was
Not
going
like
to totally
at
cut
her,
Mick
but
or
in the
something
direction of her. And I was like, that sword's going to go flying into Mick and she's going to die. But then she got struck by lightning.
Yeah, totally unexpected.
Awesome.
Yeah. So she had planned on actually attending Yale right before that. She was going to go to. She was like, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to Yale." The samurai sword was pretty hilarious. Like Mick and her sister both got $5,000, and Mick bought a samurai sword.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Pretty great idea.
The bar.
Yeah, that's what you do when you're like a young person. You got like a bunch of money. You're like, this sword is awesome.
Oh yeah. And she said she traded it at that bar to cover her bar tab at the point, some racked up bar tab she had, and then the bartender was gonna sell it back for $40.
Yeah.
But
When she grabbed for the sword, she grabbed the blade, which was like, what?
But the fire been going for like 5 seconds.
Well, I'm just like, why would you grab the
But
handle?
yeah, still that's not how you grab.
You don't grab a sword by the
sharp
blade.
object.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Not even that. I don't think she would have been burned that badly.
Right.
But you just don't grab the blade of a sword.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and then
very fast.
Jimmy was around. The boyfriend Jimmy guy, he was around, he mostly kind of acted as like Chip's advice guy a little bit, because Chip had a problem where Chip liked this girl named Madison, like I guess the hot girl in school or whatever. But she was dating somebody. But then there's this like big girl, like just like tall girl basically, named Farble. And then Farble was into him and just wanted to like do weird stuff. And like Jimmy was like, dude, just do it.
She's like, I got a bucket list before high school. Let's do this. So they are young.
Yeah, they're supposed to be young. But then Chip tries to go after Madison and like stand up for her with her boyfriend's yelling at her or something like that, and tries to get her. And then Farble like crushes the bully guy, and it's like, this is my man, Chip's my man. And they're like, no.
Pretty good.
So that was pretty hilarious. Ben really didn't have anything to do. He was just around.
Yeah, not much.
Oh yeah.
The parents dead or gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
At this
all
point
mentioned really.
Mick was, they were, I mean, maybe they were just talking like because she was graduating, because Sabrina was graduating, so they're like, our child's growing up, kind of thing. But maybe they did get adopted in a way.
It's possible.
It doesn't seem like the money ran dry.
Right, that's true.
Which I kind of thought it might have happened.
Right.
And then really the only other story was when they were at Yale, Alba went away and just pretended to be somebody named Melanie at like some sort of like alumni party.
Yeah. She's just saying yes to life. And she walks by a party and the guy's like, oh, are you alumni? And she's like, yep. And grabbed some random name tag and became Melanie for the night. Took shots with some dude at some alumni from 98 and then banged him.
Yeah. I'm into the Elba sections of her like just crushing it and having a great time.
Yeah.
Like she's not a bad person. She's really not doing much. She's like being a little mischievous, pretending to be a Melanie, but that's really about it.
Mm-hmm.
High mischief is really what she's getting into.
Elba's great.
Maybe not necessarily a finale, but in a way, kind of worked out, right?
Yeah, it kind of felt like maybe if they didn't necessarily know they were getting canceled, they knew it was like, kind of a long shot. Like, let's just go nuts, like while we're making this TV show. Like, there's a little bit of that to like Community, where like by the end of each season, they didn't really know if they were gonna get renewed. So there's just like, let's just make the show we want to make.
Yeah,
I feel like that's kind of where they're going with this. Is like, even if they did know they were getting canceled, it's like, it's no guarantee that we get renewed. So let's just like make a crazy ending and then we'll figure it out next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed this episode overall. Mm-hmm. We haven't really heard from you, Jimmy.
Hated it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think like it definitely, after the pilot, I thought, okay, this has places that it can go that are pretty obvious, but like there's like potential plot movement. By the finale, you don't really care about the plot. It's just about the jokes, and the jokes are funny. So keep them coming. You know?
Yeah, I mean, she did maybe actually calm down a little bit. She was like not a great person still per se, but she wasn't like overtly horrible by any means.
She was never drunk or out of it in the episode.
No, she's just kind of a little bit
not really a mess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She did have her hot foot thing, where she was taking cigarettes and putting sticking matches to them with gum, and then putting on people's shoes so that their shoe light's on fire as a diversion.
Mildly genius. Just gonna lay that out there.
How many times do you need like a diversionary tactic where you light someone on fire?
We got a Joe bachelor party coming up. Try to maybe show you some hot foot this in a couple weeks.
Bring
distract me by setting my foot on fire.
Hey, I mean
something. You didn't say foot. I'm sure it'll be fun.
You're gonna get a hot bed.
Okay.
Set your bed on fire.
Set the whole bed on fire.
Joe just is asleep, burning to death.
Gotcha.
You kooky kid.
You're getting married.
What shenanigans.
Boys will be boys.
Also, Joe's dead. Sorry about that.
We're gonna lose some deposits. What were we?
2 seasons of a show.
Ah.
They're just rolling the dice. It was pretty, not really finale, but a good deep season 2 episode, I feel like, is the consensus in the room.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that.
Definitely not a series finale,
Mm-hmm.
but pretty fun.
Enough to make you want more, want a season 3.
Yeah.
That was a question, I guess.
When they reboot this,
it was more of a period than
when they reboot this and we do watch the reboot for episode 400, I'll be super into it.
Okay.
Stay tuned, listeners, for Jimmy hosts FNL 400 Bonanza.
I feel like I just liked the It's Always Sunny type things though, and Chip's shenanigans. Like the whole sword samurai bit and the bar being lit on fire, and then Mick accidentally like swiping Sabrina's ear.
Yeah.
And Sabrina freaking out. Like that whole bit felt like it's an Always Sunny bit that didn't quite land in the same way that it would have, you know? Like it was funny, but like would have been funnier in an episode of
It would have been funny if Charlie was there.
It was totally a Charlie. You just imagine him swinging the sword around.
Yeah.
And Dee getting her ear cut off because everything happens to Dee.
Yeah, Frank would have been the one that would have got hit by lightning with the sword.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't have gone into a coma. He would have somehow he would have been to the hospital, but he would have been like, I'm fine.
And they actually did do a sword episode. The Alibaba sword that they find in the trash when they're searching the trash.
Show just went on so long, it's like The Simpsons. Like, it just did every plot line.
I started watching The Simpsons. Did I tell you guys that?
I think you mentioned that to me one time.
It's pretty weird.
What season are you on?
Like 2.
Oh.
It's still weird. And I'm waiting for that like quintessential Simpsons that I remember to
kick
happen.
in.
I feel like that's got to be like 5 or 6 or something like that.
Man, really? It's a lot. And they're short, but it just feels like... But those are full, like, 20-some episode, you know?
Yeah, they're
seasons.
The long seasons. Because did the animation change from season 1 to 2? Is that when it got better? Because I know season 1's animation is nuts.
It's getting better, but it's still not there.
It's not the Simpsons animation that, like...
And Homer's still not, like, Homer, which is the weirdest thing. Everyone else is actually settling in a little bit more. If they ever finish.
Does Homer still choke Bart?
Yeah, I think there's been some choking for sure. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird one. Well, the Mick.
Any choking in the Mick? I don't think so.
No. I'm pretty sure the Mick doesn't choke any children, so I think we're good there. yeah, all in all, I kind of think it's just like this show is probably good if you're a fan of Always Sunny, and you definitely like D. You know, right. D was a good one, and you want to be like, oh, Always Sunny new season isn't out yet. Watch some Mick. Mm-hmm. It might not stick with you, but I feel like the couple episodes we watched tonight is good. Yeah. But it's not like I'm biting, like at the
chomping at the bit.
Chomping at the bit? Is that what biting
That's
at the
a saying?
Biting at
the teats. Oh my god! Don't bite the teats.
To like watch more right now, but you know,
this is a public service announcement. Do not bite the teats.
No teat biting, please.
No. Not appreciated.
Yeah.
So watch the Mick, then go watch AP Bio, then go watch Mythic Quests.
And then hopefully season 15 of Always Sunny will be on or whatever, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. A fan of Always Sunny, you probably like the show. If you're not, and you like weird, outrageous stuff, you might also like the show.
You might.
Don't watch this with your kids. Not even, still don't do that. Be a better parent than that. Watch The Simpsons with your kids.
Ooh.
At least it's a cartoon, right?
I guess.
Anything else before we get into predictions?
I don't think so.
Let's do it.
All right. Joe, you went first last time.
Yeah, I could do it. I had Sabrina works as a mechanic, which is completely off on that.
She's trying to put together her life now.
Yeah. No. Yeah, and she was like, she just graduated in this episode, which I had to like the timeline off, or maybe the first 2 seasons ran the whole single year. I don't know.
I guess.
The second one, I had the parents are like back and out of prison. They were nowhere to be seen, so no for that. Mick's boyfriend is a butler for the house, and he's not. He just seems like he's just part of the family, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's just family, man.
Yeah,
might be the dad as far as we know.
Yeah, so that's a no. And then Chip is running a cult, which he wasn't. He just kind of seems like kind of your typical eighth grade dweeb. Definitely not a leader in any sense.
That's true.
No, he seems to be turning into more of a follower as it goes. So a big old donut hole.
Step,
yeah, 0.
Mine where I said mom and dad were back, but they're on house arrest, and they were dead or gone. Who knows? I said Chip bleeds, and I honestly think that was pretty close. He almost fought that bully.
Yeah.
But then Farble ruined it.
By Emily Farble.
Number 3, I think Sabrina gets Mick to pass out. That did not happen. In a way, Mick got Sabrina to pass out by giving her a sword in the rainstorm, and she got struck. And then my 4th one is that Mick was involved in a pyramid scheme, and that's technically still inconclusive because this whole episode was just really about getting Sabrina into Yale.
Mm-hmm.
So. But unfortunately, that leaves me with a good old Joe score of 0.
Yeah.
A Joe score? Is that what we're calling zeros now?
That's what we're calling zeros now.
Classic Joe.
Classic Joe.
Pulling a Joe. I think I got a Joe. I also thought the money had run out, which is 0.
Yeah, I think that's definitely not true.
And I thought that Mick adopted them, which is inconclusive, but definitely could be true, or at least to some extent.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, it's like it could be true, or she's just like
air thing.
Just decided to start acting like she was their parent, basically. Yeah,
she's probably just like a legal guardian, right?
Yeah,
that Chip has just decided, not Chip, Jimmy has just decided as the boyfriend that I'm assuming there's no way they got married, Mick and Jimmy, in 2 seasons.
I wouldn't think so.
Especially if over 2 seasons, like less than a year has passed, which is interesting. I kind of like that. Chip, like we said, is definitely not a leader, definitely not a bookie or any sort of mastermind.
We had too high hopes for Chip, I think, is what we went into this.
Way too
high. Expecting bigger things for him.
Way too high. Chip lost a step. And then Alba is definitely a boss, just not a mob boss.
Correct.
Just a lady boss.
Yeah, she's a lady boss, though. Alba may be technically the coolest person in the show.
Yeah, I do like. That's one thing I remembered about this is, so I watched I think there was 3 episodes left, Because I think I started watching this when it was on Hulu, because they show certain shows like the next day.
Oh, while it was on TV.
While it was on TV, and then they show like the most recent like 5 episodes. For that season, and I think I fell off when I got behind too far and just never finished. So there was like 3 or 4 episodes left, but I remember thinking that she had like the only actual like character growth was like actually really awesome.
No,
everyone else just kind of has their bit, which are good. No complaints.
All right then. Well, I guess that's it. I guess that's it for the Mick. We're done. Jimmy, thank you so much for hosting the 200th episode Bonanza.
I did nothing. But yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. Listeners, if you want to give us a show suggestion or just get in contact with us, you can at F&L Podcast on the Gmails or on the Twitters. But besides that, we'll see you next week for just like regular old dumb 201. Nothing special about that.
Yep, the worst.
No Bonanza here next week.
Don't even tune in.
Unless we're watching Bonanza. We should have watched Bonanza.
Man.
You really messed up, Jimmy.
At some point we do. Isn't Bonanza like the longest running show of all time? It's the longest running something.
Not to us. It'll just be 2 episodes again.
As far as we're concerned, it ran the same amount as every other show we've ever seen.
Fair point.
So, all right, listeners. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
All right.